Good afternoon, and welcome to the reading of Vocabulary, Lesson 2, Letter E, the Mother of the Civil Rights Movement. Many people believe that the Civil Rights Movement in America began on December 1st, 1955. On that date, an African-American woman named Rosa Parks refused to vacate her seat on a Montgomery, Alabama bus so that a white person could sit there. At the time, local laws unjustly allowed African American people to be treated as second-class citizens. Many hotels, restaurants, and even drinking fountains throughout the South were for white people only. And in Montgomery, the state capital of Alabama, as elsewhere throughout the South, city buses were segregated. The front 10 seats were set aside for white people. African American passengers had to ride in the back. As an active supporter of civil rights, Rosa Parks knew that this unequal treatment was unfair and degrading. She worked closely with an organization in Montgomery that promoted African American people. With the support of this group, Parks decided that it was time to resist. Though she usually walked home from her job in a Montgomery department store, on that winter evening, Parks took the bus. Soon all 10 seats in the front of the bus were occupied by white people. When another white man got on, the driver told Parks and 3 others to give up their seats so that he could extend the white people only section. The 3 others gave up their seats, but Parks refused to move. The driver called the police, who took her into custody. Parks was detained at the police station for 3 hours. When she was released, she was ordered to appear in court 4 days later. There, she was found guilty and fined $10. Her lawyers appealed the verdict, and the case slowly began making its way through the courts. But $10 back then would be fined like $500 now, just to give you an idea. Back to the reading. Meanwhile, the battle for civil rights was also being fought in the streets of Montgomery. African American people boycotted the city's buses. This resulted in heavy losses to the company. An African American minister from Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., found himself suddenly thrust into a position of leadership. Many white citizens felt that the boycotters were being arrogant in demanding equal treatment under the law. There were numerous outbreaks of violence. However, Dr. King preached a message of nonviolence. He urged his supporters never to use force even if they were attacked. The country was moved by his eloquence. That's a word from last week. They could no longer ignore the racial injustice that had been previously taken for granted. The campaign lasted 381 days. It ended December 20th, 1956, when the United States Supreme Court made a historic ruling that the Montgomery Law violated the United States Constitution. The nation's highest court ordered the city's bus company to integrate its buses. In doing so, it sent a powerful message. African American people could no longer be treated as second-class citizens. It was clear that the movement sparked by Rosa Parks had triumphed when Congress passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act. This opened up public housing, schools, and employment to people of all races. In 1989, Parks was invited to attend ceremonies at the White House marking the 25th anniversary of its passage. In 2002, her former home in Montgomery was placed on the National Registry of Historic Places. Rosa Parks died in 2005, but she will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Her 100th birthday would have been February 4th, 2013. To mark the date, the United States Postal Service created a Rosa Parks stamp, and later that month, President Barack Obama unveiled a statue of her in the U.S. Capitol building. Thank you for listening. This has been Vocabulary Lesson 2